All right, greetings, ladies and gentlemen, non-binaries, interplanetary, intergalactic time travelers. You know who you are, as you see fit to call yourselves. Salute you. It's pretty dicey out there with the CMEs and the solar flares. The full moon, you survived the full moon. That's good, that's good. So I just wanted to spray a few ideas. X only gives me 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So I get 140 seconds to kind of just spray and kind of ramble on some thoughts. Unfortunately, I'm using my phone, which looks good, but I don't have the privilege of the browser where I can click, little buttons, and I can share and I can show some things, which as an artist, I'm a visual person, visual learner, I paint with my hands as I speak. No, I'll try not to do that. But I just wanted to spray a few things, just a few thoughts that's been on my mind. It's been very, very difficult to watch the speakers in Chicago. For me and for a lot of people. I've read that on X with numerous, I was going to say famous, but popular politicos. I was watching Alex Jones. I try to catch a little Alex Jones InfoWars. And Owen, there's a whole team there. Chase Geyser. The whole team is pretty cool. I try to catch a little bit of them every day. It not always happens, but, and AJ was talking about, he goes, I can't take watching these guys anymore. He goes, I get angry just seeing them. He goes, I see them walk on the stage and I'm upset. He goes, I can't sit through it. And I could understand that. I could understand the brother. I was like, that. I felt the exact same way. Seeing ex-president Barry Soetoro, Barack Hussein Obama, and watching his exact same techniques, his tactics, his hypnosis. He has a way of speaking in this kind of hypnotic way that you see the audience, you see the crowds in real time, live time, as they're losing their minds. Kind of like, a Beatles concert in the old days, or an Elvis, almost like an Elvis concert, maybe not quite like Elvis because he doesn't have that sexual crazy attraction. Although, who knows? I mean, I have no idea. I think the guy looks weird, but I look odd, so, who am I to judge? It's not the point. Point is to analyze the gaslighting. And if you want to know what's wrong with America today, in my opinion, as an independent, most of my life, all of my life, I've been an independent, third party. I was a Pacific Party 30 years ago. We became the Pacific Green Party, and we advocated and pushed. Is that a bird? Was it a bird? Oh, wow. I thought I heard a bird out there. Get the windows open. Wow. Do we have a hawk like right outside? What is that? Oh, wow. If there's a hawk, check up on the brick on the roof. I can hear a caw that sounds like a bird of prey, and that it's like either right above us on the roof. Anyway, we'll never know unless my daughter finds it, because I'm gonna wrap this. I'm in this 4 minutes into this little convention therapy session. I don't know. Do I bill you? You bill me. You bill me. So I lost my stream of thought there, but there's a whole bunch of things I wanted to say and get out. I think I was talking about Obama and the gaslighting. He's got a way of kind of speaking just total nonsense, talking about government corruption and how it was a conspiracy, and Trump's wrapped up in this conspiracy theories, and how the government is these great people and we should trust the government. And the crowd's like, yeah, you can see what's wrong with America. That's where I was at. You can see what's wrong with America by watching and observing these Democrats at the convention. It's full-blown blue anon cult. And I know that they say that about Republicans and conservatives. They say that. But it really is true. if you can read people, like I can read people, and not always right, but if you can see in their eyes, the eyes are the gateway, the porthole to the soul. You hear me? You're with me? I know you know what I'm talking about. You look into someone's eyes and you can see what's going on in the brain. You can see what's going on in their heart and soul and mind. You can tell if someone's lying to you by just looking at their eyes as you talk with them. And it's not always, because there is pathological liars that are really good. There's actors that are really good at masking that. But then you need to be a little more empathic. You can kind of spin in a little empathic, little intuition, develop those skills. Everybody has intuition. It's just some are closed down. I don't know if that's atrazine or GMOs or excessive vaccines as a kid. I don't know. I really don't. There's something going on. There's some blockage. And there's ways to open that up. And I don't want to get into all of that because it gets into a totally different topic and sidetracks. But I will say that there's a thing called Vision Quest where you do a sweat lodge and you're exploring the higher powers of creativity in the spirit world. And it's powerful. And I believe that that does unlock, it can unlock these blockages of intuition, extrasensory perceptions, empathic type of energies. Not always. And sometimes there's side effects for some people, unfortunately. But Vision Quest. I digress. So back to Chicago and this convention in Barack Obama, the crowds. These are the same crowds that wanted to lock us up because we didn't want the experimental mRNA jabs. They wanted to put us in camps. That's what the environment was online. And to have Barack Obama talk about online, and that's the problem with Republicans in today's society, is that we're looking for likes on social media and all of this. That's exactly how these Democrat tyrants controlled 350 million people in America and globally. Look at the UK. Look at Israel. My God, everyone was mandated 5 and 6 boosters in Israel. That's a whole nother discussion and video completely about who survived and how well are they doing. Where's the studies? Not good, not good. So I digress. These are the people that stood for complete medical martial laws, yanking the children out of the schools, locking people inside their homes, mandating mRNA vaccines that has killed my neighbors, has disabled my friends and family. Yes, friends and family disabled from the jabs. We all know somebody, but these guys are in denial. They actually, in this convention, I'm talking about them in this convention, when you see their hysterical applause and the yay and the chants, hey, Joe, we love Joe, all of this kind of really in another political world, if you will, a realm of some blue anon occult fever, if you will. You can see the fever in their eyes if you're paying attention. It's spooky. That's exactly what's wrong with America. That's what's gone wrong with America. These are the people that are not using critical thinking skills. These are people that are going along with the narratives in almost type of a mass formation psychosis that's been discussed by a number of people. Dr. McCullough, I love. Robert Malone, 50-50. It's always hard for me to feel love for the once CIA. Aren't you always a CIA operative? Listen, there's lots of intelligence. I do believe that there is such a thing as black hats and white hats. I think most are gray hats, if you will. Not good, not bad, but gray, caught in the middle, doing their jobs. That's a whole nother video. I digress. I digress. A lot of digressing here tonight. So we got the crowds that are going along with totalitarian tyranny. To hear Obama say the things that he said, it was just disgusting. It brought back bad memories, like abuse from the past. He was emotionally and physically and economically abusive to America, to me as an independent, to anybody that voted for him. he was a huge letdown. This is Barack Hussein Obama that promised so much going in and never, ever did any of it. This is the Barry Soetoro that handed the banks, which, to be fair, the Bush administration tanked and bankrupted it, the financial services. But when that collapse happened, Barry is the one that signed off on it. Barry Soetoro, Barack Hussein Obama, this guy that did all this gaslighting last night, saying that what a great person he is and what a great person the government is and what a great thing the Democrats are. Holy Jesus. No. He wrote the checks to bail out the corporate banks. That's not progressive. That's not progressive. Now, to be fair, I would call that Republican. I would call that in the bankers' pockets. You got a Goldman Sachs administration. Trump likes the Goldman Sachs guys too, huh? But I digress there. We're talking about Obama for just a brief second, just to bring back the bad feelings and negative vibes from him. To hear him speak again in that same type of gaslighting that now Gen X knows better. We know better than the millennials. We know better than these Zoomers, the new Zoomers. And to be honest, I think my daughter with the Alpha generation knows more than the Zoomers and the millennials. Go figure. That's another video. That's another video altogether. I could be wrong, but I'm rarely wrong. My point is that the gaslighting has worked well on about 100 million people. And Barry Hussein Obama was the king of gaslighting. And we heard him gaslighting last night. He wrote those checks for the banks. He wrote those checks. He did, I think it was close to 10 trillion, with a T, trillion in spending. A huge contributor to the 36 trillion with T's in our deficit now. Yes, Trump did some of that. Absolutely. There's significant, I'm not going to deny that. There's significant accounting, if you will, if you call that accounting. I don't know if that's accounting or just excessive spending, right? But to be fair with Donnie, DJT, President Trump, Donnie, he was dealing with a coup, a medical martial law coup, a Fauci novel, which has already had patents on it. It's a whole other video. I'm not going to get into it. I don't want to get strict for disinformation. But he was dealing with the ramifications of that. There was a couple of $1 trillion that came out of that. It had bipartisan support because America was traumatized through psychological operations. We were all going to die. They were telling us you were going to die. Even the critical thinkers had to step back and kind of pause a little bit and go, whoa, what the hell is this? Chi-Com? Kung Flu? What? But very quickly, and I'm saying within weeks or within months, I actually saw what was coming down the pipeline right away. I mean, and there was several people that did, including Alex Jones, one of the only ones with a platform that was preaching and bringing on the gospel of people like Peter McCullough, Dr. McCullough, and many, many, many others, many others. Nobody else was doing that. Everybody else was preparing for medical martial law on the end of signing off their wills and getting their affairs in order because they were going to be dead soon, right? Unless they got the jabs, and that was the big solution. So you had Barry, and then you had Joe Biden come in with the mandates. Now, Trump didn't do the mandates. Trump knew as a businessman that if you shut down the economy and you mandate these jabs to the truck drivers, which they did, and the truck drivers' supply chains were immediately interrupted. When you mandate these things to airplane pilots, you're going to lose your airplane pilot force. When you bring in these mandates that closes down the economy, literally paying people not to work, not just paying them a little bit, 3, 4, 5 times what they would make on unemployment on standard conditions. We're talking about several $100s a week to stay home and read Karl Marx. Stay home, keep your children entertained because they can't go to school anymore, right? No more employment. You were paid not to work. I never got any checks. As an artist, We didn't see any check. I got one check, I think, one time, $600 or something. There might have been a second one, but I didn't get those weekly checks. I didn't get these huge stipend allowances and whoppers that just was like celebrating a big party. Alcohol sales went through the roof. Cannabis sales went through the roof. Mental health crisis went through the roof. Massive narcotics went through the roof because they opened the floodgates. All of a sudden, fentanyl was coming in and everyone was distracted with psychological operations of COVID-19, which they told us it was coming. And Event 201, they told us in 2019, it's coming. It's an exercise that's going to go live, and this is how we do it. So Donald Trump knew when you close the economy, you're going to tank the national economy. You're going to tank the stock market. You are going to destroy everything that he built and had buzzing along for 3 years, 3.5, 4 years, 3.5 years, right? So he knew that. And so he was like, hey, I don't want to do that, mandate that federally. Joe Biden did. The Democrats did. They attacked the Republicans saying we were xenophobic and we wanted to kill people of color because we didn't want to push these experimental Nazi vaccines. They said this. They repeated it over and over again. Never forget that. I will never get over that. They stood with medical totalitarian tyranny. Not the Republicans. There was some, I guess. There was a whole bunch of Republican conservatives that were terrified from the psyops and got the jabs, unfortunately, the first one. And maybe some of them got the second, but then they got smart and then didn't want any more boosters. They saw the people that were going down. They saw the youth on the basketball courts dropping. They witnessed things and were much more aware. Today, in that DNC convention, those folks still think that those vaccines somehow saved lives. They think that the next vaccine is going to be good and they're waiting to get them. That was the crowd. That was the vibe. That was the energy of that DNC floor. You could see it. You could see the fever in their eyes. It was beyond a church experience. I endured a lot of fundamental Christianity when I was a child. I've seen a lot of fanatics. I've seen Pentecostals screaming and yelling, rolling around on the church floors, speaking in tongues, doing things that you would think looked like some sort of voodoo seance. In the name of Christianity, of course, not in the name of the voodoo. It's a fine line. I'm sharing that because that's how that crowd looks to me. That was not the look at the week-long GOP convention. Okay? That was not the look. We had Kid Rock, you had Hulkmania, you had a lot more conservatives. I remember thinking, gosh, you know, when the cameras are panning, a lot more of these conservative kind of, I don't want to put anybody down. It doesn't look good. The optics of voter outreach. But then you had some awesome, like Trump's nephew. And I'm drawing a blank on her, but blonde-haired woman, lady that is in, God, I'm so sorry, I'm forgetting her name, but she's in the video with Trump's nephew. They did a music video. She's an actress, performer. She's done some different events. They had her, which was good voter outreach, very controversial, very controversial. You know, the pearl clutchers were like, what are you doing? There was a whole bunch of pushback on X about what are you guys doing bringing her in? I understood that that was a part of trying to reach out, trying to bring in, not just preaching to the choir, but trying to bring in some of those younger generation and some of those voices. I didn't see much of that. Now, maybe my perspectives are skewed, but the last couple of nights, and again, I couldn't sit through it like I sat through the days, most of it through the GOP convention last month. It was easier for me to sit through that than to hear some of these ghosts of the past. And here you hear this mantras, we're not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back. I've had heated folks attacking me on social media saying, we're not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back to Trump. And it's like, you guys are stuck in the past going back. There is no greater going back than Bill Clinton. There is no greater abuser of women than President Bill Clinton. There is no greater miscarriage of Me Too justice than a rapist abusing interns in the Oval Office wearing blue dresses. And you applaud for several minutes like he's a hero, like he's a preacher, like it's the Blue Anon gospel. Reminded me of a church. Reminded me a lot of a church service. Okay? 20 minutes in. That's why I'm wearing glasses. Otherwise, I wouldn't be wearing glasses. I got to be able to read those tiny, tiny numbers. So I want to wrap it up. I don't like doing long ones because people don't like to sit through long ones, and I don't like doing long ones. I could do hours, but it doesn't do any good. At this time, I'm going to do a free promotional, okay? Because everybody's always selling something. I haven't gotten any money from anybody, but this is bromelain. Bromelain is an enzyme. This one's amazing formulas, but they do a lot of them. It's 500 milligrams, 120 tablets. Bromelain is an extract that they get from pineapple. So you can drink pineapple juice, and you should. It's medicinal. If you're a Gen Xer and you're aging like me, you've had a whole lot of sports injuries, skateboarded for years. I've had a lot of stitches in my head, which explains this video and just about everything about me. No, but I have had a lot of injuries. I've got a lot of scars. If you were up close, I could point to about 10 scars on my face. Not to brag, but I'm just saying, when you're aging, all those injuries come back. Bromelain. This is one that AJ doesn't have. This is one that InfoWars doesn't have. Bromelain directly goes into the joints and helps with anti-inflammatory. It's been wonderful for me. I have trouble walking because of a blasted knee, both my knees actually, but the one is, I've had scans on it, and the patella is gone. It's blasted. It's amazing that I can still walk. I'll go through days where I can't walk, and I can't even get out of the apartment. I'm limping around from my feet and my knees. It's hellish at times, to be honest, but so is aging. That's what it is. But bromelain, that's a freebie right there, but I feel like I should do that because InfoWars is always selling the supplements all the time. And this feels like something I should do to share to you to make your life better. But I digress. 22 minutes. Let me hit a couple more things and wrap this up. The one main thing that really bothered me, and this was what Barack Obama, everything he said was just grated me the wrong way. It was lies, gaslighting. Everything that I've heard come out of these conventions for 3 days is just gaslighting bullshit. It's total donkey manure. But he was talking about, and Hakeem Jeffries said this tonight, about how we've got to, we're for the police, and we're reaching out and respecting the police, and that's how we're going to build the bridges and make the community strong. That's exactly the opposite of what the Democrats have done for years. 2016, 2017, 18, 19, 2020 was a full, violent, sociopathic, homicidal, arsonist riots with dozens of police assassinations around the country, dozens, hundreds of billions of dollars in property damage. Kill Whitey, kill the police, kill the cops, abolish the police. This was the mantra. The mantra was as anti-police as I've ever heard it in my life. And I knew that when you do that, you're going to put any local, state, or federal officer on edge, and it's going to cost people more lives. If they think you're going to kill them, as you're telling them you're going to kill them, they're going to defend themselves and be quicker to defend themselves. It's the exact opposite of a psychological operation or a messaging program, a plan to actually elevate, de-escalate, not elevate, de-escalate violence in police brutality. The exact opposite of police reform. We had commissioners in downtown, everything, city halls in downtown. City of Portland, Portland City Commissioners, and Multnomah County Commissioners for that. We had city commissioners that hated the police so much that they joined the violent anarcho-communists as they were blowing up the Mark Hatfield Federal Courthouse and attacking police, burning police stations down. This just didn't happen for a weekend. This didn't just happen for a week or two. This was months and months and months of sociopathic arsonist attacks against the police, making all of us less safe, making everybody in the community anxious and upset, bashing in small business windows. It's still happening. We still have a city that's boarded up. 4 years later, the downtown city of Portland is still boarded up. They're still attacked by these anarcho-communist punk kids that think it's capitalism they've got to destroy, and they're going to destroy Portland small business. It's disgusting. And it was spurred on and condoned by Democrats for years, and it still is. Now, all of a sudden at election time, they all want to pretend that they're pro-police. They're pro-law and order. Barry said it himself. Sleepy, dopey Rep. Hakeem Jeffries, who looks like he's been spending the weekend in a methadone clinic, right? I mean, I'm sorry, but I can't stand the guy, and you can't see his eyes. He's clearly way medicated. He's clearly not well. He's talking and said that tonight. The same messaging diatribe bullshit of the police and building community. This is how we do it. Like they're somehow a part of the common sense. They're for America. They're patriots. Rep. AOC is screaming, she's a patriot. She's so sick of these two-bit union busters. I'm a woman, and women are more patriots than these scumbags. This kind of shit's coming out of crazed, obviously intoxicated, probably snorting the cha-chas and God only knows how many margaritas. You could see it in her eyes. I could see it. I could sure see it. I think you did too. At least you heard her. It was insane. So all of these, Oprah Winfrey's on. Oprah Winfrey's doing the hand. We got to, you know what? I speak with my hands too. I can't be critical. But it's Oprah. Who doesn't love Oprah? When things are down and you're down, losing, and the party's in the dumps, bring in Oprah. The color purple. She's wearing purple. God bless Oprah. Right? God Almighty. So the hypocrisy, it bothers me. I don't like being gaslit. Who does? Do you? I know you don't. Nobody likes being gaslit. Who likes being lied to? That's gaslighting. They're going to tell you that what you think and how you feel and what you've perceived for years, having homicidal sociopathic arsonists blow up the federal courthouse, throwing feces balloons and urine balloons at Portland police and all the rest of the federal agents. You got Mayor Wheeler down there saying this is clearly a federal overreach. Dude, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? Your city is on fire. They're trying to burn you, your wife, and your daughter out of the condo. On live stream, I saw it. They're setting fire to the mayor's condo, threatening his daughter's life. And he's going to say this is federal overreach. Governor Brown, one of the most corrupt governors we've had, we didn't even vote for her. She just got in there, and then we couldn't get rid of her. She wouldn't deploy the National Guard. Just like this Waltz guy. Governor Walz, as VP, he let it burn. He let Minnesota burn as he was governor of Minnesota. He's a Maoist. He's been to China hundreds of times. I don't know how many times. 50 times? He had a wedding reception there? What the fuck? Who goes to China and get married? Right? That's Hunter style. That's Hunter Biden style with his little Chi-Com spies that are missing, and he's freaked out calling dad like, oh my God, my spy master's missing. Where's my spy master? Can't you see Governor Walz doing the same thing, right? Oh my God, we got to fly in there and get married and we'll check on my spy masters. Oh, holy shit. These are the guys that you're going to vote in. These are the people that the convention is feverly cheering on. And they got Oprah reinforcing it. God, Oprah's backing it. Everybody knows Oprah. We love Oprah. Whatever Oprah says, we're going to do. That's right. We bring in the celebrities and they tell us to vote and vote blue no matter who. That's what we do. No matter what. No independent thinking. None. It's about solidarity and camaraderie, the best that they can do. Like I said, that's an illusion, in my opinion. I've read some from some smart women, politicals, conservatives, that were saying that they believe that Democrats are unified. I don't believe that. Do you? Do you see that? Do you see unification? Without getting too much into a crazy rabbit hole, and God knows I love rabbit holes, fall down them regularly, but in that thread of not sounding like a loon of the black hats and white hats, and I call the gray hats, somewhere in the middle is probably what these employees more like are. There is, in my opinion, clear intelligent operations, factions, if you will, that are terrified that they have attacked and framed and falsified records of Donald J. Trump and everybody around him. We got people in prison right now just for being associated with Donald J. Trump. And you have Democrats saying they're for democracy. They're saying that Trump is going to bring tyranny. They're going to say he's going to corrupt the DOJ and come after us. I think a lot of you need to be come after and indicted. Let's have a hearing. We're not going to do anything without a public hearing and full transparency. I know that's what frightens you the most. Public hearing and transparency, little Democrats, little tyrant totalitarians. You want to hide behind the curtains there in the Wizard of Oz, right? Pay no attention to the little guy voting blue no matter who behind the curtain. That's Obama, the puppet master, the string man. That's Barry Hussein Obama. And there he was on the stage. He's been working. He's brought in his money man, bag man from his campaign, now advising Kamala's campaign. It's very clear that there's been behind the scenes negotiations as they ousted the coup of Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden needed to go. In my opinion, he is a national security threat. So it's like, I'm going to be balanced by speaking the truth. Now, should it have been done the way that it was done? No, but Joe wasn't going to go. All of a sudden, Joe, with his personality and the people behind him, probably Hunter, saying, no, we need pardons. We need you in there. We're going to get thrown into jail if we don't keep hold of this power and stay in the White House. Come on, Pops. I need a pardon. I'm going to prison. Got sentencing here soon, Dad. Something like this. So you have these people that are terrified of justice coming their way. And they should be. And I hope that that does happen. I hope that we don't see like the first term where we're letting off Hillary Clinton. We let off all this stuff just in the name of diplomacy. I think Trump was too nice. All this framing of him being a tyrant and a dictator, he was too nice. That's my perspective as an independent. Sometimes we got to hold people accountable, and it's not pleasant. It looks divisive. But at this point, after 4 years of people are still sitting in gulags for simply attending a peaceful protest, some of them were FBI informants. A lot of them were FBI informants, which is very odd, but it's the facts. They shouldn't be there for a protest, okay? Now, some of them may have lost their minds and did some things they shouldn't have done. There needs to be consequences for them too. I'm not saying everybody was there, but I digress. That's the whole framing. When you bring in federal assets and you've got not just one Ray Epps, but you have dozens of Ray Epps. We just happen to catch Ray Epps over and over again on video. There's a whole bunch of Ray Epps there, if not hundreds of Ray Epps type of CIA. The FBI says he ain't one of ours. You know why? Because he's in a different intelligence agency. I think Ray Epps was CIA or whatever. There's a whole bunch of different factions. I don't even remember the names of them. There's a whole bunch of these intel agencies. Everyone says, oh, FBI this, FBI that. No, listen, There is them, and they do corruptions, and we've got them. We caught them. Operation Crossfire Hurricane, right? Framing, spying, that was Obama. Obama committed treason. That's a whole nother video. I was posting a whole bunch of thread and evidence that on X. Obama committed treason. And the way that they planted in CIA operatives into Trump's campaign, he was surrounded by these intel operatives. Carter Page, for example, who was in Russia doing operations, intel gathering of Russians, okay, and jeopardized his life. And then he had people threatening his life here in the States because they'd framed him and said he was a spy for Russia, which he wasn't. So they told the FISA courts, FBI framed him so they could get the unwarrantless, what do they call this? The permission from the FISA courts to conduct surveillance on the Trump campaign, which is exactly what Barry, sitting in his little headphones, listening to all the fucking moves of Trump and everybody around him, including Flynn. So they installed these CIA ops, the FBI jammed and framed them, told the FISA court to get the warrantless spying apparatus, lying to the courts, FISA courts, which is federal crimes. It's treason in itself if you consider that. This is what they did. This is what they did, and they want you to forget about it. They want you to shame you, as Obama did, about being a conspiracy nut and worrying about likes on social media. And you guys are just a bunch of nuts. Government loves you. Government's your friend. We got to trust the government, people. Ah, everyone's, whoa, yeah, Obama, we trust you and we trust the government. What? What the fuck? That's what's wrong with America. Those people. Not the critical thinkers who are very concerned and paying attention about the corruption on all levels of government and multi-layers for multi-decades, including Bobby Jr., RFK Jr. CIA killed his dad, killed his uncle as president. His dad was attorney general. Wouldn't Bobby make a good attorney general or director of FBI or director of CIA or secretary of Health and Human Services, new guidelines to avoid experimental jabs, therapeutics, right? You with me? Bobby would be a wonderful asset to the Trump administration, which is the people's administration. This is a populist movement. What the people want, the bigger the umbrella. There's a whole bunch of stuff I don't like about Bobby, and I was very concerned about him, to be honest. But that doesn't mean that he couldn't find a space. He's much better than the first administration, the first term in the first administration. My God, Bolton, Pompeo. You tell me Bobby Jr. ain't better than Bolton or Pompeo. Are you kidding? Scaramucci? The list is long. The list is long of fuck-ups in the first term, first administration. Sorry, Donnie. Sorry, whoever. Not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Conservatives, rhinos, all the rest of you fucks that thought it was good choices. No. Bobby is a good choice. He'd be a good a part of it. Now, what happened to Bobby's campaign? It ties right into what I'm just spraying about black hats and white hats and gray hats and CIA. What I heard this evening from Alex Jones on InfoWars, he told me from his sources, so it's not confirmed in my book, but it sounded like it was confirmed in his book, that it was nonetheless Bobby Jr.'s own son who's in the CIA, the same son that filmed the private conversation between Trump and Bobby Jr. on the phone, that awkward video with the audio talking about, yeah, Bobby, you were right. The vaccines have been doing a lot of damage to the children. Totally contradicting all the positive Pfizer Operation Warp Drive shit. I thought it helped Trump. That's what the base wanted to hear. They wanted to hear some truth. They know that these experimental vaccines, they've seen their neighbors, friends, and family become sick, if not them sick and disabled themselves. Okay? Bioweapons. We know that we've been attacked by bioweapons. We know that they were building biolabs in Ukraine. Victoria Nuland herself, the queen bee of the CIA hive, told us there's bio-research facilities in Ukraine. Putin knew that. President Putin knew that. He knew damn well what they were doing there on the border, on his front lawn in Ukraine. My God. If you knew they were building multiple dozens of biolabs on your front lawn, wouldn't you have some reservations? And then it's in the hands of Azov Battalion Bandera-loving Nazis from World War II? I'd have some reservations. I'd have some reservations. Look how Portland reacted to so-called patriots they were calling Nazis. They lost their fucking minds. And they weren't even Nazis. Nowhere near Nazis. They were patriots for the most part. You get some white nationalist extremists here and there. White and being nationalist is not necessarily a Nazi either. Whole nother video. I digress. The point is look how these Blue Anon cult members reacted, and they're now standing with literal Ukraine Nazis. Bandera, look up Bandera. Azov Battalion, the Ukraine National Guard absorbed these Nazis, blood rituals, voodoo Nazis, doing cuts, drip, drip, drip of the blood into the soil. Literal voodoo blood sacrifice rituals. Right now, not in the past, right now. These are the people the Democrats are backing. These are the people the Democrats are saying, oh, the Republicans are the bad guys. The Republicans are the fascists. The Republicans are totalitarians. Trump's a dictator. No, you guys are arming and sending, you might even be sending nuclear arms, but you're certainly sending cash, cocaine to the cocaine cowboys. Larry with the ex-CIA guy, Larry, what is it, Wilkerson? He's a good guy. He makes all the circuits. Larry's the one that called him the cocaine. Zelensky was the cocaine cowboy. And it's stuck in my head ever since I heard him say that. And they literally, he is. I mean, that guy's completely strung out, just like Adolf was strung out on meth. And he got the pilots strung out on meth, the amphetamines, World War II, because they could fly for days and didn't need food, didn't need maybe a little water, and didn't need any rest. They were amped up and ready to gun down the enemy. Meth, amphetamines. Now we're seeing Nazis. That's the Judaists surrounded by Nazis. Go figure. Look up Kolomoisky. Who is Kolomoisky? Kolomoisky is now in exile in Israel for corruption charges in Ukraine. An oligarch, Judaist oligarch, backed and built Zelensky. Okay? So it's not a far stretch to see this corruption with the Nazis, with the Judaist fundamentalists. Okay? Not all Judaists are the same. I'm not a Judaist hater. I think those guys are doing a real disservice to America and to the Republican Party, to the conservative parties, to all of us. We are not anti-Judaists. We're not anti-religion. This country is built on the freedom of religions. We are against that. I hate using the term Zionist because it means a million things to a million people. But the ethno-state cleansing, the genocide on Gaza, the 50,000 women and children that have been bombed and massacred, we've all seen it on live stream. The babies blown into parts. They're putting legs and arms into the head of the little body wrap. It's not even really it's like a sheet. 50,000 are now dead in this last year. Not even a year. 50,000 women and children, mostly women and children. They're trying to bomb the buildings and get to the tunnels. Bombing churches, Christian churches, bombing the synagogues, bombing hospitals. Those are war crimes. I don't care how you frame it. It's war crimes. We stand with the Jewish people. I love Judaism. We don't love what this corrupt Israeli government is doing. It's the exact same thing on the American people. We don't want them hating all Americans because there's lots of beautiful, wonderful, great Americans. It's the corruption of the government, the military-industrial complex that's corrupted the DOD, the Pentagon. You know all this. I don't need to lecture about this. Let's separate this. Don't lump it all into all Jews and everyone with big noses. I've had people attacking me because I've got this big nose and I'm a Jew. They say I'm a Jew. I'm not actually Judaist at all. Not in religion or blood, but that's what I've been attacked. Some of these people are really out of their minds. The fever it's got to come down. Now on the flip side, the folks that are doing occupation standing with Hamas, these gays and lesbians and queers for Hamas, these people are out of their minds too. Islam does not coddle, hug gay and lesbian community. They throw them off buildings. They whip and beat and kill. It's unacceptable. You guys are delusional thinking. I saw these signs in live streams this last 3 days in Chicago around the convention. It's totally delusional to think that somehow this anarcho-communist solidarity with trans people and lesbian and gay community is somehow one united with Islam in flying these flags in solidarity. It's a total psychological operation. And just as we have seen these Ukraine Nazis, who's training these fighters, these Ukraine Nazis? It's the CIA. It's the CIA. They've been involved with it from the beginning. Victoria Nuland, the queen bee of the CIA hive. These sniper school trainees have been found in Hong Kong. We find them in Charlottesville. We find them in Portland. We found them in Ottawa, flying the Nazi flags. Guess what? I saw Nazi flags today. I saw white guys flying Hezbollah flags. You know, the yellow with the green. White dudes for Hezbollah. Chicago. Holy fuck. Come on now. You can't tell me you don't see that. Yeah, the people inside worshiping preacher Obama, they don't see it. They can't see it. They don't see it. They have no idea. There's no critical thinking skills. They don't understand. There's white guys flying Hezbollah flags outside, marching around. They've got Nazi flags, just like we saw in Ottawa. Who are they? It's the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians. Biden's been flying in hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians into America. What do you think that's going to do? You don't think that's going to fuel a race war? Think deeply. Think deeply what they're doing. The open borders. You don't think the open borders isn't going to fuel racial tensions and racial hatred and civil war? Of course it does. Look at UK. Look at London. Look at Britain. Totally social engineered implosion. That's what's coming here. That's what's happening here. It's already started. But people are just so mass formation psychosis. We're hypnotized. We love Obama. God, we wish Obama could do another term. Well, guess what? This has been Obama's third term. Now he's shooting for a fourth term with Kamala. And the Minnesota Governor Waltz, okay, who's straight up Maoist. I mean, this guy is, I mean, I don't even want to character smear the things. I've got my extrasensory perception. My extrasensory perception is not good with that guy. Football coach in small rooms with the gay and lesbian community. He was spearheading. There's going to be some people that are going to come forward and go, things happened that were inappropriate. Mark my words. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like I said, I don't want to get into, you know, I shouldn't even have said that much. But I can see that. I can see that. Oh, so now we got Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Booty Juice. He's doing his speech. I'm going to jump off and listen to that real quick, see if I can catch that guy. He was damn near the vice presidential candidate. CIA, that's who they need. They need a company man, company people, company women, company men. Got to have somebody handling Kamala. She's a little loose. Everybody thinks she's got a drinking problem. I think she's on medications. Heavy drinkers look and sound different. I've been around. I've been a bartender. I've been a heavy drinker. I've been around it. I recognize it. I got a radar for heavy drinkers. I just don't see it, but it's possible. There is some functional alcoholics that do actually drink every day, and they're able to kind of meter it out, and then later on they get sloppy. But they always get sloppy, whether it's slurred, stumbling. You can't hide that. The effects on the brain, the alcohol effects on the body, the kidneys, the liver. What is she, 60? You can't hide that. You can't hide that. 60-year-old alcoholics, well, you serve them in a bar, you can see them 100 miles away. I mean, red nose, red, I mean, it's, there's all kinds of different dynamics. There's all kinds of alcoholics. I actually think she's on other medication. That laughter reminds me of like cannabis users, like, first-time users, high school, everyone's giggling, everyone's, and they can't communicate anymore. That's what that reminds me of. It's like she's taking a big nitrous oxide balloon hit or something, and the Grateful Dead's playing in the back, and she's got her little twirler dress on, and there's Kamala, and woo, fire on the mountain. That's what she reminds me of. And it possibly could be alcohol, but I don't know. And she's not qualified. Listen, if these people get into office through theft and ballot harvesting, this country is done. And that's what the communists want. That's what the globalists want. They're like vultures swirling over our heads right now. Circles. No joke. They want the country to collapse. They've got plans for global currency, central banking, crypto, central banking. They've got all these different plans. Population reduction falls right into eugenics. It's right in Agenda 2030. It's right in the United Nations paperwork, as Alex Jones always says on InfoWars. He's right. He's right. He wasn't just a psychic, although I do think he is psychic, but he doesn't like that. He denies it. I think he is. He's got a little bit of it. But he's right, because he just simply read what they wrote. He read what they were going to do 20 years ago, and it's now happening. The plague, the medical martial law. He was talking about that 15, 20 years ago. It's now happening. He just read what they said they were going to do. Operation Lockstep. Operation Lockstep is exactly what they've done. And they're going to do more. There's more coming. And if we have these globalist Democrats pawns in the White House, America's over. It's done. And that's what they want. They want to rewrite it. And the communist youth, the millennials that are communists, they want it too. So it's really a generational struggle to where it's not so black and white. It's more of a gray type of generational struggle. There's people on all pieces, but for the most part, it's there. We see higher percentages of the younger generations that are in favor of socialism. Because they've been brainwashed into thinking it's something that it's really not. It's not taking care of everyone. It's a small group up above, and everyone else is struggling with doing bread lines and soup lines. Just like we've seen a proposal literally come. It's not conspiracy and delusional shit. This came right out of Kamala's mouth. These price controls. That's what Jimmy Carter started. That's what Chavez did in Venezuela. It creates shortages. It creates demands. It creates starvation. That's eugenics. You don't know eugenics? Look it up. All right? Look it up. That's an hour. I didn't want to do an hour. But to recap, the police, Democrats are not pro-police. Democrats are not pro-law and order. Don't believe that shit. It's disgusting. Those of us that know better, we're sick to our stomachs, literally, physically nauseous, because we know this brainwashing is working on tens of millions of people, because we can see them in that convention. We can see their face. They're representing tens of millions of people in this country. Can we get out the common sense moderates, the common sense Republicans and conservatives, libertarians? Can we get them out to vote, to block this anarcho-communist coup takeover? Maoist, really. It's an anarcho-Maoist takeover, which is a form of communism, but it's specifically with Governor Walz and his dozens and dozens, if not more, trips to China. This guy's a full-blown spy. He's a full-blown owned tool, just like the Bidens, just like Hunter Biden with his spy master. It's real. It's not delusional. It's not paranoia. It's facts. And that our country's future is in your hands. This is not a Shakespeare play. This is the real deal. And I plead with you, all of you, to come together. Bobby Kennedy, his son leaking those tapes, his son sabotaging. He's got another campaign manager, family member, CIA. How could he not see this coming? How could I see this? An oil painter, an artist in the art studio, huffing paint thinner and oil vapors. Not intentionally, just comes with the business. How could I see that and Bobby Jr. couldn't? How could the people that cared and loved him be the traitors? It's the way it always goes down. It's the people closest to you that can hurt you the most. That's where you're vulnerable. It's not strangers. You can punch your fucking way out with strangers. God knows we've all had our share. Your family and friends, the people around you, you don't punch them out of the conflict. It's betrayal. And I could see it. And I commented about it. I hope it resonated with the campaign. I hope someone caught it. And now that, I got to tell you, the VP pick, man, I thought she was Chi-Com, Google executive. I thought she was CIA the whole way. And then I realized that she divorced from the Google. So she's financially taken care of, but she's not in bed anymore with these alphabet agencies, or is she? I don't know. But hearing her talk, she's grown on me. Shanahan, Nicole, is it Shanahan? I like her. I really like her. I can't believe how I did a 180 on her. I went from like, oh, fuck, Bobby, what the fuck's wrong with you, brother? You picked the wrong VP. And, you know, but then I was doing some digging on her, and she actually fell down the rabbit hole and got into QAnon, which QAnon was an intentional trust. I mean, General Flynn got into QAnon. Patrick Byrne got into QAnon. They all deny it now. They're all denying it now. They're all denying that they weren't at QAnon conventions and they were all raising funds. I know General Flynn was, because I was like, we lost General Flynn. Trust the plan. But it also tells me something, that people were thinking about some of these government corruption and theories. When I read that, I was like, I got to reassess this VP Shanahan. Now I'm hearing her speak, and she's coming out blazing the path, potentially because of Bobby Jr. and really because of their ballot access losses. You know, Bobby Jr. does not want to be the spoiler. He viciously attacked Ralph Nader when I was working on the Ralph Nader campaign. We built Ralph Nader in 1996 out of Oregon. Greg Kafore, part of the Kafore bazillionaire family. Not all the families alike. There's a whole bunch of trouble in that family. There is some good players. Greg Kafore I like, or I used to. He's a pretty amazing attorney. If you ever hear that guy rant and rave in a case, he wins people tens of millions of dollars. But I digress. Kafore, Ralph Nader used to stay at Kafore's big house in Portland. When Ralph Nader was in town in Portland, it was Greg Kafore's house. Greg Kafore, along with a whole bunch of us original Pacific Green parties, we helped mold and build protesting the Forest Service Department in 1996. That was the salvage rider. That's when Clinton and Al Gore, the great environmentalist Democrats, did the salvage rider, which exempted all existing protections from all the wilderness across the entire country. Yeah, in an appropriations bill, late night appropriations bill, the salvage rider. Ralph Nader was there. We had a crazy kid climb up on the Forest Service building and perched up there for hours. He may even spent a day hanging on to the Forest Service building in protest. Trey Arrow was his name. Look him up. Kind of a mixed bag with the kid. He's had some issues. He did some jail time. Happened to know his legal team. Good people. Trey, my sister liked him. My sister knew him better than I did. 50-50 with me. I digress. Ralph Nader was called a spoiler. I hate that word spoiler. For all my years with the Green Party in the early years when we were libertarians, that this whole Marxist, communist, globalist, carbon tax, Paris Accord bullshit that Jill Stein did really only came about in 2020 and 2016. She started with some of it, but and I don't like her gun grabbing position. I never liked that. She's a 40-year Democrat that was trying to work her way into this rebranding of, you know. But Bobby lashed out. My point is that Bobby Jr. lashed out at Nader saying, you're a spoiler. You're going to damage. You're going to put in these Republicans because you're going to damage the environment because you're going to put in these with a spoiler and you're splitting the vote. Bobby will not be that spoiler. It's stronger than anything. It's stronger than his like or disdain for Trump, for Republicans, for history, for any of it. He will not be that spoiler. He attacked Nader. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget everyone was attacking him. They attacked all of us. We were framed. We were framed. That's another video. We were framed in Florida. It had nothing to do with Nader. You had more Democrats that voted for Bush in Florida than they voted for Nader. Al Gore couldn't even win his own state. I think it was Tennessee. On and on and on and on. Okay? They framed and demonized the third parties. But I'm telling you, Bobby, right now, to you Bobby Jr. Fans, this is not the time to try to launch a new third party. I've done it for almost 30 years, good 25 years plus. It's got its place, and I love third parties, to be honest. I really do. I support local third parties. There's a couple libertarians here locally that I support. To each their own. I like third parties, but this is not the time to try to start and build some new people's campaign. I'm sorry. We are on the brink of losing our country. Wow, look at that sunset. That's gorgeous. We're on the brink of losing our country if we haven't already lost it. Some argue that it's gone. But this election is big. And this is, if we join forces with that 5 or 6% that's still with Bobby, keep in mind, Bobby was pulling in 15%. He was pulling in Ross Perot numbers at one point. And that has been chipped off and that has dwindled off, large part because they did a coup on Joe. And now the Democrats are like, oh, wow, it's not the same old dementia guy. Oh, wow, let's try this. And they're getting sucked back into that Democratic machine. But the ballot access is really, they've removed, I don't know all the details, I'm forgetting the names, but these operatives that VP Shanahan was talking about recently, today and yesterday in public forums, that they've sued them, they've litigated them, they've pulled off, they implanted operatives, including turning his own son against him. And that campaign manager, the female family member, She sidetracked and derailed this campaign from the beginning. CIA. We've had those planted in. Hell, Dr. Jill Stein could be CIA. I mean, you just don't know. These people come in and create chaos and coups and then start spewing globalist jargon. It ain't right. It ain't right. But to each their own. Bromelain, it's helped. I do a whole bunch of supplements. I'm not even going to pull them all out, but I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I take. Vitamins. And you should too. So, all right, I digress. I think I did a pretty good recap and summary there. Democrats are not pro-police. These guys are pro-communism, pro-Maoism, and it's a coup. And they're going to do the same thing if we re-elect them and they can maintain any type of control or maintain the White House. We're going to see the real, true colors that we've seen for the 4 years that they've taken power. Not good. All right? God bless. Peace out. Talk to you soon.